From the Air Force to yoga? How much sense does that make? That's what we're exploring today on the Brewmance podcast, just because we can. We talk about anything and everything because there's so many interesting things in life. It's worth celebrating. I'm Rob Hunter.
I'm Mike Russell.
So we get together, we grab a beer, we have a conversation. Mike, what are we drinking today?
I wanted to go Halloween-y because it's Halloween week. So this stood out at me. This logo stood out at me. This is Surly Brewing Company's Todd the Axeman Indian Pale Ale. Dang it, I said it again. India Pale Ale.
I'm
just sticking with IPA. I'm nonsense. India Pale Ale.
Yep. So we're going to share this beer with our man, Brian Thomas, who is the founder and the owner of Baptiste Power Yoga here in Phoenix. He also is a veteran of the United States Air Force. Brian, it is a pleasure to be not doing yoga poses, just sitting down with you right now.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Rob.
We're not doing chair pose. We're actually sitting in chairs. It would not last very long. So tell me about, first, Baptiste Power Yoga. Because I've taken a couple of your classes, and it's fun. So what's different about the way you approach yoga than your traditional, you go do some yoga, which is fine, nothing wrong with yoga, but it's very calm and quiet.
All right. Yeah.
You, not so much.
Yeah, like what I get and what I offer up in the class is for people to really get, we were joking earlier about just getting messy on your mat and just getting raw and authentic and just like there's no wrong way or right way to do what you're doing right now. Like you're perfect. Like in your body, what you're doing is the same as the person next to you, whether they're bending over and touching their toes and you're just touching your knees. Like, yeah, that's where Rob's supposed to be right now. And yeah, it's just having that awareness and just being open to finding freedom. Like, okay, like this feels really good right now.
Love that.
Yeah.
It does. And in the classes that I've taken of yours, you see the advanced yogis who are, I don't know, doing give me an advanced pose that I wouldn't know about.
Yeah, okay, for instance, like I just said, bending over and touching your toes all the way and bringing your forehead to your knees. Like your bend is all the way down, right?
Yes.
Got a lot of mobility and flexibility in their body.
But there was one particular move where I think we were kind of down on the mat, and you wanted us to like spin around, and you're like, just get messy, just do you. If you have been a bump feet with your neighbor, so what? Who cares? This is yoga. This is fun. This is not, just do your thing.
Yeah.
So how did that arrive to you? Where did that come from? Because that approach I haven't seen in yoga before.
Yeah, well, that's just so my teacher, Baron Baptiste, when I found Baptiste Power Yoga back in 2011, I was practicing a different style at the time where I didn't know what freedom was to have that in my practice and what it felt like in my life. And when I found Baptiste Yoga, it's like, yeah, get really messy, get raw on your mat. Like, yeah, just like that pose you're talking about. It's called flip dog. Yeah, you lift your leg up and drop your other leg behind you. Like, yeah, who cares if you fall down? Big deal. Yeah, and get on your neighbor's mat, knock their water bottle over. Like, yeah, have fun with it, right? Yeah, it's all about
It's like yoga mosh pit.
Basically.
That's just what I'm seeing in my mind right now.
Yeah, it can be like that. Yeah, it can be totally like that. Yeah, it's just do it. Just try it. And and that's where the power is. When you don't do the thing, like you set fears like stopping you from doing the thing you want to do. Yeah, just like lift your darn leg up and drop it behind you and do that pose. And who cares if you fall? Like, and if you do it, like, yeah, there's the power. You like, that's it, the growth.
Yeah, and it's like fear of two things, I think, Mike, too, if you want to jump in on this, is that it's the fear of not being able to do the move the right way and having someone else judge you. There's those two fears like, oh, man, look at this. This person's really in shape next to me, and they're really flexible.
Yeah, and I always say it's giving up the need to get it right. Yeah, give up the need for looking good, give up the need for doing it right. Just do it. Like, do what your body's going to allow you to do today.
Not much.
Right.
Yeah.
And look, I've taken several yoga classes. I love yoga. I think it's great. Yet my mat goes in the back because of that fear of, oh man, am I going to screw this up 9 ways a Sunday? Yeah. But I still, every single class I take, any type of routine I do, at the end of it, I think, wow, man, I need to do more of that. And I'm glad I just did that today.
And I hear that a lot, especially from dudes. They show up in the class and they always sit at the back of the mat. Like, yeah, they expect like the bendy 20-year-old girl is going to be in the front wearing all like the Lululemon. And
that's why we sit in the back.
Well, there's a reason.
There's a reason for that too. Yeah. But like they feel like they can hide. Like, I'm going to hide. I don't want people to see me in the back. I'm not doing it right. Yeah, and what I offer during the class, I leave you an inquiry. Like, okay, like you're hiding right now in the back. Like, you're scared. There's fear. Something's stopping you from getting in the front, doing a pose. And where else does that show up in your life? Like, a task at work, that conversation you need to have with mom or dad or your loved one or your spouse. Like, it's so weird how your mat is a reflection of how you show up in your life, right? So, yeah, what's stopping you from having that conversation with your dad you haven't spoke to in 20 years, or the conversation you need to have with your boss at work? It's the same thing. Where just put your mat to the front of the room or go to a different spot. People get so stuck in life, right? And there's all these blind spots. You can't see what's going on. You're just so shut down to it. And you're just playing small and playing safe. Yeah, like where you really want to be in your power. And I offer like to empower people and have them transformed while coming through class. And like, I have a breakthrough. Like, man, it was so different practicing at the front of the room or practicing on the left side. I always set up right here. And it's the same thing. Like, man, I finally had that conversation with my dad.
So the power part of it is inner power. It's yourself. It's not. And I honestly, when he told me that we were going to have this as part of a podcast, when I thought power yoga, I was thinking, okay, there's weights involved. Is there? I mean, Mr. Olympia is going to be in front of me? What is this going to be? Because power yoga, I just went with body and form instead of total mind, soul. What yoga is all about.
Yeah, and people have that misconception. They think you're going to do like really hard poses, or we're going to hold a pose super long, or there's weights involved, or there's a ton of heat. It's not that. No, it's being empowered in the class, and to leave there being left in your power and being up to something bigger in the world.
And I love the fact that you fuse that in as you walk around through the class. You're not always up at the front. You're in and you're encouraging people, and you're louder than your typical yoga teacher is, which just... it's different and it's shocking and it's fun. It does give you that freedom to find your power. And it's like, oh, you do leave. You're like, ooh, I just did something cool. Yeah. Like, like you have to leave and be quiet. Like,
not us.
Okay, but you're in the yoga world and you're in the yoga community. So I'll put this back to you: is what are your borders? What are your frames? What are your walls that you don't want to go past because you don't want to offend the yoga community? You don't want to be looked upon differently from the yoga community. Are you just all out there, no holds barred?
I'm all out. I just speak from I never have a script. I always speak from my heart and like what I see. That's the human that's right in front of me. Kind of what Rob was just speaking to a second ago. Like, I walk around, I see people. I connect with them. I look at them. They see me. How many times have you ever taken a class or a fitness class and the instructor's in the back, they're just talking, they're yelling, they're screaming into a mic, the music's playing loud, you can't hear what's going on. There's no connection. There's no community. Like, I am there. Like, I got you. I see you. I have you. Let's do this. Whether I put my hands on you to give you an assist, to like get deeper into a pose, to find something that's not really possible. Yeah. So like, that's the connection part of it. And there's no boundaries as far as I'm concerned. And this yoga is for anybody and every body type. Yeah. So I always say that it's for anybody and everybody. And it might not resonate with you, and that's great. There's thousands of other different yoga styles out there that would connect and resonate with you. But if you want to find some freedom, vitality, and what's possible in your life, come try Baptiste Power Yoga, and that's what's possible. Like, it's limitless. There's no borders.
Is there a dad bod class? Just for guys.
That's a great
dad
idea.
bod class.
You can call it that. Every class
beer,
is that.
We'll get beer involved in this, and we can really make something of this. Because if I feel if you don't fear what the yoga community will think of you, then I think we got a dad bod vibe going.
But it is funny, though, when we talk about that, because we all have some sort of fear of being judged by others, whatever that community is. I mean, we deal with it in the craft beer community, where we have the super craft beer nerds who are like, a company can't sell out. So if someone offered you $100 million, you wouldn't sell out? I mean, come on, let's celebrate that fact that someone wanted to buy your product for $100 million and not poo-poo all that. And the other side, we have, you brought this up a couple weeks ago, Mike, the Coors Light, some of these Bud Light drinkers who thumb their noses at us and like, we'll still drink a beer with you. We don't care what you drink. We just want to hang out. Same kind of thing.
Same thing. It's for everybody. Everyone's welcome.
So how did you get to Baptiste Power Yoga? So did you start as regular yoga and you were like, let me try some other things, and you arrived here?
Great question.
It was a bet. Tell me it was a bet.
Kind of.
Nice. I'll take it.
I was challenged. Let me tell you. So I was a bit of a runner back, and I'm still a bit of a runner, for those of you who know me. And so my running group and I, we were sitting at, can I say Gordon Biersch? Can I name some?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So we're sitting at the Gordon Biersch Brewery at 101 in Mayo. And we were like talking about how sore we were after our run, and one of the girls had mentioned in my group, "Hey, we should go try some yoga." I'm like, "Dude, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm the non-yogi. I'm the if you look on my website, I call myself the unlikely yogi."
Give us your website real quick.
BaptistePowerYoga.com. Yeah, you can find us there. And I don't know, Facebook and Instagram, same thing. and MySpace as well, if you can still find us.
Love
on there.
it.
What?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I might want to get back on MySpace just for that.
Man.
Yeah, that dude Tom's still my friend. It's amazing. Yeah, so we looked, and then I was scrolling through on Groupon looking for something else unrelated, and then boom, this yoga studio shows up, and it's in the parking lot facing us from the parking lot of Mayo on 101. So I buy the $15 Groupon, and I'm going to do all $15 worth for the whole month, and I got hooked on it. Next thing you know, I'm buying a monthly membership. Then I'm into it for a full year. And one of the teachers there saw something, and she's like, "You should go be a yoga teacher." I'm like, yeah, no way. Like, yeah. And at the time, let me tell you, I weighed 250 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah. So I weigh about 180 right now. So I lost a lot of weight through this yoga process and running and doing some other physical fitness and, personal growth. And she said, "You should go take Baron Baptiste's training." I said, "Oh, cool. Where is he? Is he in Scottsdale, Phoenix? Where is his studio?"
Singapore or something.
Yeah, she laughed. She goes, "Oh, no, he's global." I'm like, "What the hell does that mean?" She's like, "Yeah, he's a global yoga instructor." So I started Googled him and found out, he was a conditioning coach for the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, he's been teaching to, celebrities for years. His mom and dad brought yoga over here to San Francisco in the 1940s. His dad was a Mr. Olympian. So they're always into health and wellness. So I saw the next training was happening in Sedona, Arizona, 2 weeks later. I was like, oh, man. And by the way, this is an 8-day immersion. I didn't know what I was getting into.
How am I going to get 8 days off in 2 weeks? Oh, man.
It's a boot camp. So, and that's what changed my life. And I never heard of them. I never did my first Baptiste class until I went to level 1 back in 2011. Yeah, and at the time, that was the first time I took it, and now I got over 1,200 hours. I'm a certified Tier 3 1,200-hour teacher. Through that practice, I opened my own studio. I met my wife through yoga. All these things had changed my world. And
all while serving in the United States Air Force. So let's talk about that. Is there some kind of, I don't know, was there a barrier there? Were you afraid of being judged by others? Being in the Air Force, you guys are, badasses. You're like, yeah, I'm going to go do some yoga. What you got? You got a problem?
Totally. Yeah, even get some razzing from my coworkers, some razzing from other people around.
Some of them are here today with us.
Yeah, they're here supporting me, so thank you for Gina, Steve, and Nate for coming out and hanging out with us today. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. And they all do the yoga now, so maybe I get a testimonial from one of them if they speak up here today.
I know, I got it. So you're in the Air Force, you're on this yoga journey. So walk us through that. What is that like? Was it difficult, or once you started talking about it, you realized, dope, let's do this. I'll do yoga with you.
Yeah, so it kind of I got out of the teacher training and I wanted to teach. And I'm like, what's the demographic? And what really hit close to me was my veterans, my militaries. And at the time, I just retired. I was a Deputy United States Marshal. So that's my demographic. I wanted to teach to law enforcement, military. Because I know what it did for me and how it changed my life and how it broke down walls.
Well, you guys have stressful jobs. You're doing stressful things.
Yeah. And not to say, a lot of us, they don't stretch. We're all into CrossFit was huge at the time and running. And the yoga complements any type of workout. Or if you don't work out, yoga is a great thing all by itself, right? You can get strength through it, mobility, flexibility. And let's not talk about, all the mindfulness that comes out. It's such a big word these days, dealing with PTSD and veterans, guys coming back from conflict. So I said, you know what? I started offering classes. I sent an email. Hey, let's do yoga at this room at this time on, twice a week. I have this gift. I got to share it because I know what it did to me. If I don't share it with someone, I'm just being stingy. You guys, it's here. If you want it, let me give it to you. And at the beginning, 2 or 3 girls were coming that had already practiced yoga. And I was like, wow, how can I get dudes in the class? How can I get other people to experience what they can feel in their body that they don't know what's possible? What can you feel? They've been numbing out with drugs or alcohol or just shut down. So I had this thing, we should call it combat stretching. And dudes, maybe that would open up because it takes the stigma away from yoga, right? And then boom, like a light switch, people started showing up, and then word started spreading, and even more people started showing up, and other people started showing up. And they started to feel something, got the benefit of it. So that's how combat stretching was formed, and it actually made its all the way up. I was mentioned in the New York Times article last year.
I didn't know he was that famous.
Yeah, I didn't know either.
Brian Thomas was famous. I didn't know he was that famous.
Yeah, I came across in the New York Times article, and someone else had kind of taken off, and they kind of quoted me in there and stuff. It's kind of cool. So,
that's very cool.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing now. And every Tuesday and Thursday, I teach on base, and we have anywhere from usually average 10 people show up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of cool.
But that's cool because you're breaking down the stigma that may have been there and opening up other people's minds, and not just their stretching in their bodies, but the mental aspect as well.
Yeah, and we don't have a studio in base. Like, we do it in a conference room. We move the tables to the side. We move the chairs to the side. There's it's a conference room.
Yeah.
It's just a room just like this, kind of. It's about the size of this, and we just jam them in there, and we do it. We just do it.
And the first Baptiste Power Yoga event that you taught was at the Copper Blues downtown. We just had that side room. It was the Earn Your Brews event, where I was the cocktail judge and, drank like way too many cocktails.
Yes.
Yeah. Mike drove me home. Mm-hmm. But it was just fun. It was just on the rug. It was just, again, it was find your space, do you. It's all good.
Yeah,
we'll do it wherever. We'll do yoga wherever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be in an actual studio.
Exactly, yeah. When Justin called me, he's like, hey, we're going to do it at Copper Blues, and you're going to be the first one ever to do a yoga class at Stand Up Live, like on the stage.
That's
and
cool.
We had like 120 people there. It was fun.
Pretty cool. It was fun. Yeah. So, Air Force. Tell me about your time in the Air Force, because I you were stationed at a particular base, and we don't go into too many details. It's literally in the middle of nowhere. Mm-hmm. So imagine how many people lived in this particular area?
There was 300 of us.
All on base?
It wasn't even a base. It was we were on an ice cap. Man. The most northern U.S. military installation in the world in Thule, Greenland.
Thule, Greenland.
Mm-hmm. Thule Air Base, Greenland.
So describe the environment. I'm picturing like a Star Wars moon or something, where it's cold and it's windy.
It's hot.
It's hot.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like that, yeah. There's no community. There's no civilization. It's just there's about a handful of buildings, and the military. We do our thing up there. It's owned by Denmark, so there were some Danish contractors up there who did like facility maintenance and stuff. But
because recently the president had floated out the idea of buying the entire country from them.
Yeah, yeah. But it was light half the year, dark half the year, and
what's that like? What is it like living in the dark all the time?
It's kind of the light season was more weird for me, like being light 24 hours a day, and then like the month of September was kind of a normal 12 and 12 hours. But it's super. I have cold like I've never experienced before.
But that's where you should have started the yoga deal, because you had a captive audience. They weren't going to go anywhere, and eventually they would have just, fine, I'll start stretching. Why not? You would have had 300 at a clip. That's where it would have started right there. They could not leave.
You know what I know now? I wish, and I say this all the time, I wish I would have found this practice. I've been in 26 years now. I wish I would have found this practice 26 plus years ago.
Right.
I would have dealt with situations in my life so much differently. The way I talk, the way I connect with human beings, the way I presence myself and what I'm up to in the world. Not just about me. I'm really about the we right now and what we can do as a community.
And that's why it fits so perfectly with what we're trying to do. It's the exact same thing, to have these conversations that we typically wouldn't have had 5 years ago.
That's right. Now, let's talk about things that we wouldn't normally done. Rob and I do have day jobs as well, and part of mine is an outdoor radio program. So it's about hunting, fishing, that kind of community and culture. And knowing what I know about yoga and what I've practiced in yoga, I know that has prevented injuries for me. I know it helps me in my ability to go one-on-one with a large animal. It helps.
You should see him against an elephant. That's crazy.
Well, yeah, you should see the scar on the side of my head. You should see the bear.
I didn't want to ask, but now I know.
But I know what it's done for me. But then to suggest that, even when it comes to injury prevention and stamina and the wonderful physical benefits of yoga, it's hard to break through with that. And I know you did that with combat yoga. But let's talk to those. Let's talk to the me's. Let's talk to the mid 40-year-old dads that like to go hunting on the weekends, things like that. Drink their beer during the week and barbecue when they can. Yoga? How do I break through these people?
Great question. If I can use an example, I got my coworker Steve here next to me, and I've probably been inviting him. Gosh, for over a year now? Like every Tuesday and Thursday, we work side by side. Our desks are right next to one another. And every Tuesday and Thursday at 6:15 a.m., I'm like, hey, you want to come join me? He's like, nah, I'm good. And then, I don't know, I can't speak for him, but something switched about a month ago, and he said yes, and he showed up. And a lot of people would come into our office and talk about, hey, great class. I feel amazing. I feel great. Like I never felt this before. My back feels great. My knee, whatever their thing was, whether it was a physicalness portion of their body that was in pain or hurting, or they got some clarity or opened up in their mind about something that they've been stuck in, something hit them, right? That transformation took place. And like, oh, that's the aha moment, right? The blind spot got clear, and it's like, hello, McFly, it hit you right in the face, right? You just don't know what you don't know. And until you experience it, I just keep inviting. I'll never force anyone. I'll just invite you, like, hey, if you're open to it, like, just come check it out. Like, it's not what you think it's going to be, I promise you. Like, I curse, I drink beer, like, I just come, I get really vulnerable when I teach. And there's something to be said for that, like, really to drop my armor. Like, you know, people, I'm like so protective, especially as a military and law enforcement. Like, we got to put this persona on that I'm tough and you're not going to break me.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, get raw on your mat. Like, just do it. Like, it's okay to cry. If you get feelings in class and you want to cry, you want to laugh, you want to curse, you're angry at me because you're holding a pose. And you're really, the work here is you're not angry at me. Something's going on inside of you that's coming up.
Your body's hanging on to some emotion.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the work. That's the power, right? And then, oh my God, I get the same feeling in my gut when my dad calls or my ex-wife calls or something, that person that triggers you. Like, that's a trigger for you, right? Now you realize that trigger. Now you're in that work of, okay, how do I can identify this trigger and work through it, where I don't like have this anger or this rage and this breakthrough, or I go to pills or I go to alcohol or whatever the thing is that numbs you out.
Do it for the right reasons.
Yeah, for the
exactly,
right
Brian.
moderation,
Yeah,
right? But you don't want to numb your body out, right?
Right.
Awaken your body and feel stuff that you haven't seen before.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Be you. That's what I'm saying. We're the same thing. Be
Yeah.
you. We want Brian Thomas to be Brian Thomas.
Yeah.
I actually had a breakthrough recently. You know, I'll get vulnerable here for a second because I realized I had some things in my past that I was still tied to. So one day I was meditating and I literally had this sort of image in my head. It was almost like a big connector, like a bunch of veins connected to the other person that I hadn't forgiven. So I unwound it in my head. I sort of, and that was like, but being able to be calm in the mind is the only way I could have done that, and specifically just letting the mind go. And I had that imagery, and it just became very visual for me. So it made such a huge difference in being able to let things go. Mm-hmm. So it's fantastic. And if you can connect anyone to doing that, you just become a much freer in your own mind, to get back to Brian's point about what Baptiste Power Yoga actually is all about.
I didn't even... Man, you just brought up meditation. I didn't even touch on that. I mean, we only got some time here, but wow, yeah, there's some power in meditation, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I do it wrong. I'm going to say that right now. I do meditation. I fall asleep every single time. That I just close my eyes and just start to just lose it.
Perfect.
Yeah. Well, a buddy of mine says, look, because I just started meditating like a year and a half ago, like seriously doing it. Yeah. And I was telling my friend about it. He's a former cop. And I was like, you should try it. He's like, I don't want to be alone with my thoughts like that. I'm like, that's the point, though. The point is, you're not. You let your mind go. It's hard to do, and you can't do it all the time, but the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And then things come to you, and ideas come to you, and you're clear. And I think that your classes can do that, as you're talking about. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And there's so many, to speak of meditation, there's so many free apps, YouTube, 5-minute meditations, 10 minutes. It doesn't have to, it's not an hour, like 5-10 minutes. You can do it in your living room when a commercial comes on. Like, just sit there and, like Rob says, clear your mind and let go. Try it. Like,
but it's an hour when I do it because, again, I fall asleep.
And that's perfect. Like, that's what you got from it. Like, congratulations. Like,
good. Nice.
Like, you're winning. You're doing it right.
Oh,
How about that?
Good. I am doing it right.
I'll vindicate you. You're doing it right.
Thank you very much, Brian.
He just has this spirit about, again, I'm going to get real woo-woo here for a second, but he has this spirit about him of acceptance, which I love that about him, is that, you're not doing the pose right? It's cool. Try it again next time. Or what are you getting out of it? Does it feel good? Does it hurt? Why does it hurt? Let's walk through this.
Because my spiritual gift is judgment. So, I'm just judging everybody. Yeah.
It's okay.
I envy you, Brian.
You can have it if you want it.
It took him a lot of work, and I think that's the point. And I think that's why this is so cool, and this is such an interesting conversation, because you mentioning specializing in veterans and first responders who don't get a lot of attention. And I'll mention, New York City Police Department, they've had 10 officers commit suicide this year alone. So obviously anything that we can do for people that run into burning buildings and chase down bad guys and deal with, shit every day, we want to be able to help them and open these channels and say, it's okay. It's okay to do yoga. It's okay to meditate. It's okay to talk about your feelings.
What about adaptive veterans that have injuries and are just here dealing with, I can't do yoga. Are you kidding me? I've got one leg. That type of thing. Talk to them.
I've taught to people, double amputees. I've taught to blind, deaf, you name it. This practice is adaptable to anybody and everybody. Period.
There you have that.
Yeah. If you're open to it.
Yeah.
That's it.
And all you got to do is try it. Just let the door open a little bit. Just crack the door open just a little bit. Just look inside.
Dip your toe in, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I say, once you get it, it's like drinking the Kool-Aid and you love it. And like, I drink it through a fire hose.
Maybe it's the names, like crying baby and whatnot. Maybe it's the names that are just getting people, because I think they get me. I remember our friend taught me a move called, I think it was called a curtsy lunge or curtsy squat.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I'm doing that. We're going to call those the Jackson 5s because that's the dance move they do. That's the J5. That's fine. Yeah, you got to call it something different.
Now, it is challenging
I think it's the names.
sometimes, because if someone says, right, we're going to get into this pose, I'm like, I don't know what that pose is.
Yeah.
I got to look around.
That pose sounds dirty.
What pose is that? Yeah.
There are kids in the room.
I
They
know.
can't do that pose.
I know cat cow. I think that's the only pose I know. Cat
Cat
cow. I know cat
cow?
cow. Yeah.
Ay.
I'm a yogi, man. I'm down.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Exactly.
And, that's a great point. So I don't call stuff. I don't speak in Sanskrit. I just speak English, and I speak to the body in front of me. Like, put your left hand down, take your right hand up, and take your eyes up to your thumb.
That's literally what
there's a name for it, but
okay.
if you're coming to my class, like you just said, I don't want to be intimidated. I'm going to reinforce all those fears that you have of what you thought it was going to look like. I'm just speaking to you, like, Rob, push your feet into the mat and take your butt up to the ceiling. I don't use your tailbone. I don't speak flowery. Like, I'm almost a little drill instructorish at time with some humor and some cursing. Like, I'm totally just raw and like what's feeling in the moment right then and right there. Yeah, and that's how I connect with so many people that way. Like, and I'll get that feedback. Like, I've never taken a class like that before. What was that? Like, this shit was just real. Like, welcome to Baptiste Power Yoga. And that's what connected me. And that's what keeps drawing me back into it and staying in the work.
So how do people get in touch with you, Brian Thomas?
Yeah, Instagram, Facebook, Baptiste Power Yoga. Find us there. We host events. We're in the community all the time. So we don't have a physical space. We're a pop-up. We do events all around the valley. I partner a lot with Earn Your Booze. We do our own stuff. I try to do at least 2 to 3 events a month.
And you do a bunch of charity stuff, too.
All charity, yeah. Yep, all 501c. We're deeply involved with the Baptiste Foundation, which is the 501c portion of the Baptiste Institute, where it's military, first responders, veterans, and at-risk youth. And then something that hit close to home, my wife was in a car accident a little over a year ago, and we got involved with the Love Your Brain Foundation for traumatic brain injury survivors. So all the events we do, everything is 100% benefiting these charities.
So you get to open your mind, you get to experience new things, and you get to be a part of an awesome community that gives back.
Mm-hmm. And you usually get some free beer when you come to a class. We have vendors that come out and support us. And we have a badass community. People want to be part of something. And when you come find us, like, you realize, like, welcome home, you belong here. And our community, just like, we open our hearts, we open and just welcome everyone. Everyone's welcome. And you'll get that feeling too, like, wow, this is where I belong. I want to be part of something bigger, and like, this is what I've been looking for.
Wait. He just hit it. Badass beer stretching. That's what we're going to call it. Badass beer stretching. I'm in.
Okay.
That's at least how I'm going to bring my people. Hey, Saturday we're going to do some badass beer stretching. You guys into that? Yeah, let's go to badass.
The second event I went to with Brian was another Earn Your Booze event. It was at Scottsdale Beer Company. So that'd be perfect. Yeah. And they have a good space for it, too. So
wonderful space.
This is an idea.
I know
Be on the lookout for a Brewmance Baptiste Power Yoga collaboration.
Funny you should mention. On November 16th, we're going to be hosting an event at Sip Coffee and Beer House in Old Town on Goldwater Boulevard. And I would love to invite you guys out, and anyone listening, come on out on that Saturday at 10 a.m., Sip Coffee and Beer House at right behind Goldwater Brewing in the Brat House.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to do it outside. We got live music.
November 16th, 10 a.m.
Yeah, put it on your calendar. And then the next day, we're going to be at Volante Scottsdale on the Scottsdale runway.
No way.
I've been doing, this will be the 4th time we're doing it there. And it's so amazing because you overlook the McDowell Mountains, Camelback. Planes are taking off. Planes are landing. We're on the 2nd floor outside, like literally on the runway.
Oh, that's cool. When is that?
That's at Volante, Volanti. That's the very next day, Sunday the 17th.
Oh, 17th. Got it. Yeah.
And then we have 2 more events at SIP we're partnering with. We're doing a whole series. And then in December, we're going to do, I think it's the 13th and the 20th, both Friday nights under the lights, yoga under the lights. And we're going to do a toy drive for for the holidays. We're going to probably partner like Toys for Tots, or I know Doug up at Scottsdale Beer Company has someone he's interested in with. So we're going to, I always like working with Scottsdale Beer Company as well. And maybe we can collaborate with his new IPA with the puppies that he's got going out right now, if you saw that.
All working together.
Yeah, it's amazing how, they've been great supporters. SIP and Scottsdale Beer Company have been huge supporters and mentors to me, and they open their doors and provide the space for free. And we bring the yogis in and we do the yoga and then we drink beer,
Hang out and have some beers.
afterwards,
Yeah.
and hang out and
There's nothing
coffee
wrong
and
with
beer.
this.
Let's see, everything goes with beer. Even
Yeah,
yoga
right.
goes with beer. Speaking of beers,
Now, today, are we going with beer? What do we got, bud?
Surly Brewing Company. This is new to the Valley. This is a Minnesota brewery, I think from Minneapolis. And this is like brand new this month. They just started shipping this in. In fact, I was at a tap house the other night, and they had a bunch of Surly beers.
Oh.
And I was like, why is that familiar? And then I picked up a Surly beer for the podcast, and I remembered reading that this brand new beer for the Valley from
That's
Minnesota.
right.
So I got new
Todd the
distribution.
Axeman.
Pretty
IPA.
Pretty doggone good.
Yeah, I think Beer Advocate has this at 96 points. This is no joke of a beer. I like it. It's like coming at 7. What are we at here? 7.3%.
Yep.
I'm a fan.
I'm just gonna give it a 9. So we rate the beers, Brian, 1 to 10 scale. You don't have to do it if you don't want to, but that's what we do when we kind of divide the score up and give it a conglomerate score. So yeah, I'm gonna sit right and pretty at a 9 for Surly's Todd the Axeman.
I like the bitterness of this thing, but it's soft. It doesn't attack you, and I like it. Unlike the logo, which I got for Halloween, which is a skull. It's a horned skull with battle axes and a guitar. It comes at you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm all about it.
It's an easy drinking 7.3, which is kind of scary.
Very much. Yes, I'm with you on a 9, buddy. Absolutely.
Okay. What do you think of it, Brian?
Disclaimer.
Yep.
I'm a beer snob, and I do not drink IPAs. I'm a Hefeweizen guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'll tell you what, this is like a hazy. I've recently been turned on to hazy IPAs. And this reminds me, I like the citrus and the fruity hint to it. So I'm going to give it an 8, because it's very hoppy for me, but not extremely hoppy. Most IPAs, I pucker my lips. I'm like, oh, it tastes like a pine tree or something, or flowery.
He's taking his open yoga mind and trying new things.
Yeah.
That's right.
So yeah, I'm digging it. It's good.
All right, so we're going to come try your yoga class. Well, Mike's going to try it. I've already tried it.
You're not going to try it?
Oh, I'm going to be there.
Oh, you're going to be there.
I've already tried it.
I'm going to be
gonna
the
get messy on my
17th
mat.
one.
I'm going to be right up front.
Yeah.
I got a fishing tournament on the 16th.
That's all right. We'll work it out. There's plenty to come. Yeah, exactly. Remind us one more time. Where do people find you, Brian Thomas?
Yeah, Instagram, Facebook, Baptiste Power Yoga Phoenix.
And if you read the description of this podcast, you will find a link to it. So if you're stuck there, just go on your Apple Podcasts, your iHeart app, or brewmance.beer, our website. You'll find all that pertinent, relevant information. Brian, it's been a pleasure, man.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for having my teammates in here with me, too. It was such a special gift to share with them.
And, of course, thank all of you guys
for
your service, keeping us safe and all that good stuff. It's a beautiful thing.
Until next time, cheers, everybody.